After that encounter in heaven I was back on earth, but something inside me had changed forever. I still recovered. I felt a new presence in the room. When I looked to the side, a different angel was standing next to me. His golden armor was shining with an impressive intensity, and he held a flaming sword. His gaze was serious, and then he said something that made my whole body shiver. "Now you must see the other side. We must go to hell." The angel who was in front of me had an imposing presence. His golden armor reflected an intense light, and the sword in his hands was burning with living flames. Despite knowing that he had been sent by God, a shiver ran through my whole body when hearing his words. Hell was a place that I had always heard about, but I never imagined that I would have to see it with my own eyes. The angel, sensing my fear, told me firmly that I should not be afraid, because no demon could touch me. Before I could say a word, I felt an inexplicable force that pulled me up. In a matter of seconds we were crossing the heavens again, but this time I did not ascend to the glory of heaven. On the contrary, I descended to the depth of obscurity of the lower earth. We passed through space, broke the atmosphere and entered under the ground, crossing a dark and suffocating tunnel. The smell of sulfur grew stronger with every second, and an unbearable heat began to envelop everything around us. Little by little I could see something beyond the darkness, a huge wooden gate surrounded by demonic creatures of different shapes and sizes, that appeared before us. At the top of the entrance it was engraved in red and black letters that said, "Welcome to the kingdom of hell." The demons that guarded the door looked at us with pure hatred. Their eyes shone like glowing embers, their sharp claws tore the ground as they growled threateningly, ready to attack us. However, before they could take a single step, the angel raised his sword and with a single movement unleashed a light so intense that all those creatures stepped back, opening the way for us to enter. My heart beat hard because I knew that what I was about to see would forever change my understanding of the spiritual world. As soon as we crossed the doors, a wave of suffocating heat enveloped me. The air was heavy. The smell of sulfur burned my nostrils, and a dense darkness covered everything. Despite the darkness, it was possible to distinguish some areas illuminated by the fire that was sprouting from the ground like rivers of lava. The screams of pain and despair echoed everywhere, forming a chorus of suffering that shook my soul. It was an incessant lament, as if millions of voices were crying out at the same time without ever being heard. As we walked, I began to distinguish shapes within the flames. They were people. Their skin was charred. Their bodies writhed in pain as they tried to escape the fire, but every attempt was useless. They cried out for mercy, they cried out to God, but their pleas were not answered. The angel at my side, seeing my horrified expression, explained to me that there were those who rejected the truth and despised the grace of God, and they lived according to their own wills. They had chosen to be there. We continued moving forward and soon he came to a large plaza, surrounded by black stone walls. In the center there was a dark shrine where grotesque demons gathered around a table, covered with ancient books and scrolls. The angel revealed to me that these documents contained evil plans to deceive humanity, to induce people to sin and to destroy churches. I read names written on these ancient books. One was the strategies to spread lies and trap souls in the deception. I realized that nothing that happens on earth is a coincidence. Evil operates in an organized way, working without rest to keep people away from the truth. My heart filled with fear as I realized that the spiritual battle was much greater than I had ever imagined. Following the gloomy path we came to a huge structure that resembled a gigantic factory. Its walls were black and emanated a thick, sticky smoke that made the air even heavier. The sound of the machines working resounded everywhere, mixing with the screams of pain, and the perverse laughter of the demons who worked there. The angel who accompanied me pointed to that construction and explained to me that we were in the planning and production sector of hell, the place where influences were created to corrupt humanity. We entered the first room and I saw huge shelves full of objects destined to become trends on earth. There were jewels, rings and necklaces with hidden symbols. I saw clothes that had been consecrated to evil entities, and accessories designed to lead people to practices condemned by God. I also saw jars with perfumes and cosmetics product. and the angel revealed to me that many of those products had been spiritually manipulated to seduce and enslave souls through vanity, everything that had a purpose to turn humanity away from the path of the Lord without them even realizing it. We went to another section and we found shelves full of books, magazines and tons of movies and series. The angel explained that the narratives were developed that would spread lies, normalize sin and make people see the incorrect as something acceptable. I saw covers of magazines promoting immorality, books of occult indoctrination, and even children's content full of subliminal messages. There were also advanced technological devices designed to addict people and keep their minds busy with distractions that would take them away from God. While I watched all that, I understood that hell not only imprisons souls after death but actively works to influence and destroy lives even on earth. We left that dark factory and continued down a narrow and stifling hallway, until we reached a gigantic industrial kitchen, but it was not a normal kitchen. The walls were dark, covered by a viscous substance, and a nauseating smell permeated the environment. In the center there were huge cauldrons, where the demons worked tirelessly mixing thick and greenish substances with unknown ingredients. The angel looked at me seriously and told me that we were in a sector where the food and medicines of the earth were spiritually contaminated. I approached one of the cauldrons and saw a bubbling liquid being stirred by a horrible creature with blackened skin and glowing eyes. On a huge table next to various products were being manipulated. There were breads, meats, fruits and other foods that were covered by a black mist before being sent to earth. The angel explained that many products marketed in the world had been spiritually corrupted, to weaken the bodies and minds of people, making them more susceptible to demonic oppression. I saw demons spraying a dark powder on fruits and vegetables, and the angel revealed to me that certain substances present in food were designed to generate addictions, illnesses and loss of control over carnal desires. I looked to another part of the environment and saw a large production line, where rows of medicine bottles were sealed. Some demons were laughing as they mixed liquids in test tubes, adding components that according to the angel would create dependency, and bring more illnesses instead of healing. I felt a deep regret when I realized that many times what seemed to be a solution in reality only served to enslave humanity even more. We left that hellish kitchen and followed a long dark hallway, where a stench of putrefaction permeated the air. As we advanced I began to hear screams and evil laughter that echoed in the distance. Finally we arrived at a huge hall, enveloped in a thick reddish fog. In the center there was a glass display case filled with hundreds of wedding rings broken in half, all covered by a dark and corroded rust. The angel pointed at those rings and explained to me that each one represented a marriage destroyed by demonic influence. While I observed that terrifying scene, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was a seductive-looking demon, with an incredibly